The last remaining group of doctors in Aleppo are calling on US President Barack Obama to impose a no-fly zone over the city to prevent airstrikes on medical facilities. 29 doctors working in rebel-held parts of the besieged city have signed a letter of warning that if the attacks continue at their current rate, there'll be no treatment centers left within a month. In recent months, hospitals have become the target of airstrikes in eastern Aleppo. Well, Russia says there'll be a 3-hour ceasefire every day in Aleppo starting on Thursday. The goal is to allow humanitarian convoys to enter the city safely. Last month, the Syrian regime cut off the last remaining supply route into the city. The Castillo route was a lifeline for 300,000 people living in rebel-held districts. Well, after 3 weeks, rebel groups managed to open an alternative supply line through the city's south. Well, the United Nations says it's ready to partner with Russia or anyone else who wants to help deliver humanitarian aid into Aleppo.
We will, of course, negotiate, and seriously, and with respect, with any member state that makes any proposals. But in the end, the UN has to be in charge of delivering according to principles.
Let's speak to our correspondent Ediz Tiyansan, who is in Hatay, which is on the Turkish-Syrian border. Ediz, good to see you. So tell us, how significant is this 3-hour ceasefire window? Will it satisfy the humanitarian agencies?
Well, it's pretty significant at this point, Marlene, because we have seen a few weeks where the Syrian regime had besieged the eastern part of Aleppo. And just last week, we've seen the rebels who managed to open a corridor, but that corridor is still not safe enough for civilians and neither to have humanitarian aid to pass through. And we understand that the city, who hosts around 300,000 people, are currently running out of supplies and basic necessities. So even though it is important to open a humanitarian window through which they can send aid into the eastern rebel-held part of the city, we understand that the aid agencies, and particularly the United Nations, is not satisfied with the decision. They see this more as an imposition by Russia. This is really a unilateral decision where Russia said, we decide to open this window for 3 hours, but the UN aid chief said 3 hours will not be enough to send all the necessary supplies to meet the capacity of need in that city. And they also mentioned that they need more conditions. They need, for example, a double-lane road that could allow in so many trucks to pass through. And we also understand that this is not just a matter of the need. It's also a matter of safety and security, because Stefan de Mistura, the UN Special Envoy, also addressed this issue in the past, and he said that for any humanitarian window to be established, they need at least 48 hours through which they need to see a sustainable ceasefire all along.
Ediz, tell us a bit more about this request by this group of medics for this no-fly zone. I mean, this is something that has been discussed before. Is there any chance that we will see something like this coming to fruition?
Well, it doesn't seem likely anytime so soon, but it is significant nevertheless to have 29 physicians in the eastern part of the city, because remember, they're also running out of physicians as both Syrian regime along with its Russian allies, they have been targeting medical facilities too. And in their letter signed by these 29 physicians, they said that just in the past month, 42 medical facilities were targeted, and 15 of them are Aleppo, the hospitals they work at. And they also mentioned that just 2 weeks ago, 4 newborn babies suffocated to death when another blast cut the oxygen supply to their incubator. And they're saying that as doctors take a pledge to help these people, so should Obama. He should also do his duty and establish at least a zone in the city in which bombings and airstrikes could halt, so that at least medical teams they could do their job in that part of the city. facility. So they called for a no-fly zone. But also remember, the UN has supported their statements. The UN also said that countless civilians have lost their lives just in recent days in the escalated fighting. And they've also said that if the targeting of medical facilities continue at this rate, they will run out in about a month.
Okay, Ediz, many thanks for that. Ediz Tiyansan, our correspondent there on the Turkish-Syrian border in the town of Hatay.